Carlo Ancelotti has been revealed to be among the candidates to become the manager of Manchester United should their first choice target Maurizio Pochettino not be able to get out of PSG in the summer. Leonardo actually made a statement yesterday, sporting director of PSG, suggesting that never once have they considered changing their manager, and Pochettino has not asked to leave. And he said they speak every day and have a very good relationship. They talk about everything. So there is a possibility that Manchester United might have to glance elsewhere to fill the vacancy. Would Carlo Ancelotti be a good fit, Danny Murphy?
I don't think so. I've got the utmost respect for him. The job he's done over the years, supposed to be a terrific fella. He's not stayed in any job longer than 2 seasons, apart from AC Milan, the club he loved, obviously. That was many years ago where he stayed there for 8. But Chelsea a couple of seasons, PSG a couple, Madrid a couple, Munich a year, Everton, what was that, 18 months, something like that, maybe less. And now at Madrid, I think United have to look at something more stable, more long-term. I know that's the opposite of how Chelsea gets success, but we're talking about Manchester United. It's a different model. And I also think his managerial style is one where he's gone into many clubs that have already got success, got superstars, players top of the game, and just keeping that going. Everton obviously was different, but all the other teams, Munich, Madrid, PSG, Chelsea when he won the double. I mean, there was talk at Chelsea. I remember speaking to a couple of people who worked under him, spoke very highly of him, but basically said his management style was let the players kind of look after themselves, manage each other on the training pitch. It wasn't intense. He wasn't a tyrant. Very easygoing, laid back, kind of Sven-Göran Eriksson type, like when he was an England manager. Really trusted the players, and that is not what Man U need.
You trust this group of players to look after themselves and run the dressing room themselves. They'll end up in the Championship, not the Champions League.
Well, I think it's a fair point. You always have to look at the group you've got and what that group needs. Now, there is obviously an argument to say that there needs to be a turnover of players at Manchester United in the summer, yeah. But even then, this is a group that needs some guidance, some coaching, some stability, some tactical nous. That at the moment they're all over the place. And my one consistent theme with Man U under Ole, this at the end of his reign and also now under Rangnick, is that the players do not face enough repercussions for their poor performances and not doing the basics right. Therefore, you're never going to get success on the pitch. The first thing you have to have as a coach, you have to be respected and have the discipline of the players. And that means they're going to go through a wall for you, and they're going to know that if they don't do the basics, work damn hard, they're going to be not playing. And too many United players play week in, week out who don't do the basics well. So they need a manager. Look, there's been a lot of question marks over Conte at Tottenham for various reasons. Another conversation. But that was the type they need. That was the one. That they missed the boat with him.
One of the reasons they didn't appoint him, though, is because he is combustible as he has proved to be at Tottenham Hotspur, and they do not want that. Whether or not it was the right decision, but whether or not they need it, or you think it's a great idea, the people that are appointing the manager, do not feel that that's the right thing to do, and they were looking for a longer-term option.
I think, in fairness to Ralph Rangnick, he has tried to get rid of that atmosphere where it doesn't seem to matter how well or how badly you play, you're in the team week in, week out. He made a few changes at home to Watford last weekend.
Cristiano Ronaldo started 5 games in 15 days a week ago, and he scored 1 goal in 14 hours and 53 minutes of football.
Yeah, but it's not always about dropping people. It's about the way you conduct yourself in the dressing room and you articulate yourself in a room with 20 egos. And Julio was he was the master, first manager I'd ever worked under who could captivate your mind into your questioning yourself to do better. Why should you do better? Who are you doing it for? What is the reason this isn't working? Why aren't we getting success? Like, you walk away from his meetings going, I need to do more. I want to do more. And if you don't do more, you are out.
But there's not a great pool of managers. The very fact that you're talking about Carlo Ancelotti, with all due respect, he's 62 years of age. He hasn't pulled up any trees since being in Real Madrid. He's under pressure, actually, in that job. Listen, okay, Everton fans liked him at the beginning. I'm not necessarily sure that they were too worried about him leaving when he did. The fact of the matter is the pool is quite small, isn't it? And even Erik ten Hag, who is also mentioned for the job, and Maurizio Pochettino have their failings.
Yeah, Ten Hag, by all accounts, isn't the best communicator, didn't particularly cover himself in glory when he was interviewed for the Tottenham job. That doesn't fill me with confidence as someone who keeps a close eye on Manchester United.
Why didn't he pass the test at Tottenham then? What was it that came across as a problem?
A lack of charisma, apparently. And I do think you need a bit of charisma if you're going to manage a club of the size of Manchester United. Yes, they've been underachieving for a number of years now, but they are on paper still one of the biggest clubs in Europe. I agree with Danny. Carlo Ancelotti for me is the wrong fit. And the other issue I got with this is that one of the reasons he's being considered from the stories we're reading this morning on the back of the Times is because of his close relationship with Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, this might not be a popular opinion amongst Manchester United fans.
Get it out.
But I don't think Sir Alex Ferguson...
Should we have Crookie's big claim jingle coming in?
Well, I don't think he should be anywhere near the decision-making process anymore. It goes without saying. For me, he's the greatest manager ever to have taken charge of a team. That was a long time ago now. The game has changed. This was the same Sir Alex Ferguson who appointed his own successor in David Moyes. That didn't work. He stood by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think most of us really, even you, Sam, were a big supporter of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You knew deep down he didn't have the credentials to be manager of Manchester United. And one of the reasons he stayed in a job for so long, in my opinion, is because of that unwavering support from Sir Alex Ferguson. But the reason they lean on Sir Alex Ferguson is because they haven't got enough football expertise
on the board.
And
that's a failing of the ownership, actually, not necessarily of Ferguson. I mean, the fact that they are leaning on him shows that they haven't moved on in terms of their own structure. And that, again, is another problem that Manchester United have had to try and rectify, which is why they've got John Murtough doing the job he's doing and Darren Fletcher now doing the job that he is doing.
What
and
is
Ralph
Darren
Rangnick,
Fletcher? Is he a suit in the boardroom, or is he someone who puts his training kit on
Well,
a
he's
match
helping
day?
out at the moment because he's part of the interim coaching staff.
Well, it depends.
You can't do both.
How do you know?
Because I've spoken to people in the game, people in boardrooms at other clubs, and they're baffled that Darren Fletcher is trying basically to do multiple roles. Even Ralph Rangnick came out and admitted, I don't really know what he's doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's difficult if you're doing two roles of any at a football club anymore.
But you did it though, didn't you? When you were at Fulham, you were almost doing two roles. You were part liaison to the manager and the upper echelons of the board, but you're also playing the game.
A little bit, not very regularly. I mean, I was asked opinion stuff. It wasn't really a role. But I think technical director is a generic term. What is the role of a technical director? Basically, what United need is somebody who's coming in, who knows the European scene or world scene in terms of recruitment and has great contacts. You know, back like when, I mean, one of the best over the years was Frank Arneson, who you know, you've only got to be in his company to understand his knowledge of the market and stuff. But I know he's a bit older now. But that's what they need, someone who can go in there and do that job. Ultimately, one of the things with a club like Manchester United, Liverpool, any of the big boys, when they bring a coach in, the main question, I suppose, is the coach going to be involved and how involved in recruitment? Or is it going to be separate? That's the first decision you have to make.
And then what's Ralph Rangnick's continued involvement? Because, of course, he's got this consultancy
But they don't have
role.
to worry about that because they can pay him off if need be. If they don't like a cut of his jib, he can go. You know, they can give him some dough and off he pops. That's
Which is probably going to be the plan.
Probably going to be the case. But first and foremost, what is the structure going to be? Because you can go out and get the best manager on the planet and the one you think fits the bill. But if you're not going to give him any responsibility, well, he's probably not going to accept a lack of responsibility. But we've seen the Liverpool model, where Klopp doesn't necessarily dictate every player that comes in. He has a say, and I'm sure he's had more of a say as the success builds. But are United going to give a manager the autonomy to be really heavily involved in recruitment, or are they going to pass the responsibility of that role onto someone they bring in independent? It's a difficult one. People will have their opinions on what's right and wrong. But in terms of the original question, Ancelotti does not fit the bill for what Manchester United
But
need.
does that show, one, that there's a lack of options, two, there's a lack of forethought, really? Because obviously this is a landscape in which you would expect there's quite a lot of young, hungry, ambitious coaches who could come into Manchester United and possibly even revolutionise the way they operate. But the fact that they're going to try and test it almost proves the point that actually they don't really have a broader sense of what's going on in the footballing world.
Well, they've tried. It's March the 3rd. If they don't know who they want to be their manager for the start of next season, that is unforgivable.
Well, they
really.
should know. They should have known when they sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because it wasn't a secret that was going south.
Well, they shouldn't be messing around with an interim manager in the first place. It's absolute nonsense for a club of that size.
They wanted Poch, is what we hear.
Go get him then. Pay the money.
Yeah.
Because listen, Leonardo said, "Oh, we don't want him to go. He doesn't want to go." He will say that because PSG are a business and they think they can make a few quid by basically selling their manager to Manchester United.
Not
Just
necessarily
cough
about
up some
that.
money and
It's
get
not
the man
about
who's
that.
going
It's
to
about
transform that
saving face.
dressing
If
room.
you're PSG, they don't want to save face. They don't want to be in a situation where in
They
the
don't
World
have to
Cup
be.
year, when they're hosting the Qataris are hosting the World Cup, they're not going to turn around and give away their manager to Manchester United and almost accept, therefore, that Manchester United is a bigger brand than they've established. They're not going to do that.
Do they think outside the box a little bit? Does it have to be somebody? They've tried Mourinho, they've done Van Gaal,
Probably.
they've gone inexperienced with Ole. You know, now they've brought in Ranić, who's more of a senior kind of father figure, technical director type. It's not working. Whatever they do next is going to be criticism. That's for sure, because there always is. I mean, would it be beyond the realms to look closer to home at somebody who's doing it like somebody like Ralph at Southampton?
Or Graham Potter?
Maybe.
Well, he was a bit more effusive in his ambition for that outside.
I
than he is
was,
by
but-
the
Big
microphone.
Ralph
I
leaving the Saints.
was,
Would
but I've
that,
been
how's
thinking-
that sit with you?
I've been thinking about that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure you go from Southampton to Manchester United. You might go from Southampton to Tottenham and then to Manchester
To
United.
PSG and then Manchester United.
It's
Is
a
that
big
what you're
step. Listen, you know my view on this. My view on this has been the same for 3 years. And despite the fact that Sam says I've got a reputation for changing my opinion, the one thing I've never changed my mind on is that the man to transform Manchester United is Maurizio Pochettino.
Until
Do
he's
you
been
believe
in,
that?
Until he's been
I
in the
do.
job
I
for
don't.
6 months, and then in which case he will change his opinion.
I don't
There's
believe
no
that either.
doubt about that. Right, okay, we'll talk about this further. If you want to talk about it, you can. 03717223344 81089 on the text. Tweet me at Sam Matterface.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.